Hello and welcome, dear students. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is a comparative study of party system in China and Russia. First, objectives. To understand what is party system and its significance in political system. To analyze briefly the nature of party system in China. To examine the changing nature of party system in Russia. To make a comparative analysis of party system in China and Russia. Dear students, let us first discuss what is party system. Political parties are organizations that put forward proposed leaders whom they support for official positions in government. In democracies, for example, parties generally nominate candidates to compete in elections for office. In non-democracies like China, governed by ruling parties interested in preventing rivals to their power, parties may become the major obstacles to electoral competition and may place their leaders in power by proclamation. In both democracies and non-democracies, some parties may be subversive and seek to gain power by putting their proposed leaders in office by force. That is, parties may operate by competing for office, by curtailing competition for office, or by attempting to impose their leaders through violent channels. The essence of democracy lies in Aristotle's famous dictum, to rule and be ruled in turn. Over time, throughout history, to realize this, elections have become a structural pillar of democracy and political parties an integral part of the democratic political system. A political party conducts its affairs of interest articulation and aggregation, political communication and socialization by participating in elections and finally acquiring decision-making power to allocate values in an authoritative manner. A party system is a set of parties that compete and cooperate with the aim of increasing power in controlling government. Thus, the party system refers to a complex political and social process, which is an outcome of the intricate pattern of interaction and interrelationship among parties governed chiefly by constitutions, institutions, rules and regulations, and statutes. Moreover, such a pattern is reflected in ideologies and personalities, party building and fragmentation, cooperation and opposition, support and protest, voter mobilization and electoral competition. Dear students, now we will discuss party system in China, a brief historical review. The current political structure in China is the product of a series of significant conflicts during the Cold War. The Communist Party of China and the Chinese Nationalist Party were strong contenders for political power in the early 20th century. The beginning of the conflict that led to the formation of the current governmental system of China occurred in 1911. In that year, a series of upheavals took place in which nationalists and communists worked together under the leadership of Sun Yat-sen to create a central government and end the Qing dynasty. To complete their goals, they created a single political party known as the First United Front. This included removing the influence of the regional warlords who seized power after the fall of dynastic system. In 1927, the nationalists broke their alliance with the communists by forcing them out of the First United Front. In 1928, the Chinese Nationalist Party took hold of a large amount of power in the national government. The Communist Party responded by instigating a series of revolts. This significantly weakened the power of China's government, especially during the invasion of Manchuria by Japan in the 1930s. The nationalist government, which was led by Chiang Kai-shek, viewed this invasion as secondary in importance to resolving the internal problems of China. They viewed the communists as being directly responsible for these problems. Many Chinese citizens perceived the priorities of the government as being misguided, and support for the communists steadily increased, especially because communists were taking major actions against the Japanese invaders. This resulted in the surrender of the Japanese forces, which was celebrated throughout the country. The peasantry and others demanded that the nationalist government acknowledge the contribution of the communists to China. Relatively, soon after the resolution of World War II, the entire nation was engulfed in a civil war fought between the two political parties. The initial peace created by diplomatic meetings in 1945 became increasingly tense as efforts to create a government with members from both parties repeatedly failed. Eventually, a full-scale war between the two parties broke out. On October 1st, 1949, the Chinese Communist Party declared that it had won the civil war. Mao Zedong, the first premier of China, presided over the creation of the People's Republic of China. The Nationalist Party left the country and established the state now known as Taiwan. Dear students, now we will discuss party system in China since 1949. The Communist Party of China, which was previously known as the Chinese Communist Party, uses the single party system to maintain political control over the state. There are multiple candidates for the same position, but all candidates belong to the same political party. The party operates through the system called democratic centralism. This means that when a decision has been voted on by the majority of the members of the party, the entire party stands by the decision. As the government of China is a single party system, this means that the entire Chinese government supports the decisions of the Communist Party of China. The three branches in the current Chinese government are the executive, which consists of the presidency and the state council, including the office of the premier, the judicial, which is the Supreme People's Court, and the legislative, which is known as the National People's Congress. The National People's Congress is the strongest aspect of the national government of China. It appoints the members of the State Council, the President, and the judges of the Supreme People's Court. It is also responsible for negotiating between the desires of the Communist Party of China and the policies of the national government of China. It also creates and enforces the dictates of the Constitution of China. Before independence, the government was headed by the Nationalist Party and the president of the country was the highest ranking officer. In the current system, the president of China does not have the same powers as the president of the United States. In fact, he is largely a figurehead. His primary role is to maintain good relations with foreign countries and communicate with the people of China about the decisions of the government. The 5th National People's Congress, in its session on 4th December 1982, adopted the revised draft and China came to have its 4th constitution. It's known as the 1982 Constitution of China. Besides making a separation between the government and the Communist Party and restoring the office of the chairman of the People's Republic of China, the Constitution displays a number of important and noteworthy changes in the Chinese polity. The 1982 Constitution, like the constitutions of 1954, 1975 and 1978, is a written and enacted one. It was drafted by the National Constitution Revision Committee, discussed by the Standing Committee and people at large, and passed by the National People's Congress on 4th December 1982. The 1982 Constitution, like its predecessors, expresses full faith in Marxism, Leninism and Maoism, but at the same time indirectly admits some mistakes when it seeks to set right the problem that resulted from the cultural revolution of the 1960s. It advocates the need to maintain the process of streamlining and strengthening the institutional framework that has been initiated in the post-Mao years. However, with the advent of the global economy, the Chinese government has been forced to develop increasingly capitalist economic policies. A country's political party system is a major component of its political framework and makes a critical contribution to democracy. The system best suited to a country is determined by its history, traditions, and realities. There are many types of political party system around the world, and there is not a single system that's good for all countries. The system of multi-party cooperation and political consultation under the leadership of the Communist Party of China is a basic element of China's political framework. A new model grown out of the soil of China. It also learns from other countries and absorbs the fruits of their political achievements. The Constitution of the People's Republic of China stipulates the system of multi-party cooperation and political consultation under the leadership of the Communist Party of China will continue and develop long into the future. In this system, in addition to the Communist Party of China, there are 8 other political parties like the Revolutionary Committee of the Chinese Kuomintang, the China Democratic League, the China National Democratic Construction Association, the China Association for Promoting Democracy, the Chinese Peasants and Workers Democratic Party, the China Zhejiang Party, the Jiaxian Society, and the Taiwan Democratic Self-Government League. The system also includes prominent individuals without affiliation to any of the political parties, generally referred them as non-affiliates. Following the principles of long-term coexistence, mutual oversight, sincerity, and sharing the rough times and the smooth, Communist Party of China and the other political parties have created a multi-party cooperation system in which the Communist Party China exercises state power and the other parties participate fully in the administration of state affairs under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. The Communist Party of China occupies an important position in the political system of China. Like communist parties in other communist countries, it performs functions which are radically different from the functions performed by parties in liberal democratic system. Even in comparison to the Communist Party of Soviet Union, the Communist Party of China occupies as a unique position. Like communist parties in other countries, the Communist Party of China is organized on the principle of democratic centralism, which means that all leading party organs are constituted on the basis of election by the lower organ and are accountable for their working to them at specified intervals. On the other hand, centralism implies that all important decisions are taken by the top party organs and the lower organs faithfully implement these decisions. There is no mention of the party in the Constitution of the People's Republic of China, though the party exists outside the government. Yet, as a teacher and leader, it functions as the prime force inside the government. In the politics of China, there is only one party which operates, and since it is clearly the decision-making center and implementing organization to the realization of socialism. It brooks no rivals in its monopoly of power. Its members staff all the key positions in government and society. Its leaders decide government policy regardless of their titles or constitutionally vested responsibilities. Its ideology is the only officially propagated doctrine, mandatory for members and non-members alike. They must respectfully and rigidly accept the higher dictates of party. The rules of the party constitution describe party decisions must be carried out unconditionally. Individual party members shall obey the party organization. The minority shall obey the majority. Lower party organs shall obey the higher party organs, and all constituent party organs shall obey the higher party organs. And all constituent party organs throughout the country shall obey the National Party Congress and the Central Committee. At the political center in Beijing, the key party structures are the National Party Congress and its Central Committee, the Politburo, and the Politburo Standing Committee. In addition, party departments are organized under a secretariat. Below the center, down to the township level, are local party congresses and local party committees. The Communist Party of China follows the Marxist and Leninist principles for a party of the proletariat. It's a vanguard party, which means that the party consists of the most ideologically enlightened and practically devoted few of the society. In China, the Communist Party of China now claims 68 million members, although this number easily makes it the largest party in the world. For long-time workers, peasants, and government officials dominated the party. Now more intellectuals, business managers, and other professionals have joined the party. The government of the People's Republic of China is an authoritarian one-party political system under the exclusive political leadership of the Chinese Communist Party. It consists of legislative, executive, military, judicial, and other important branches. The constitutional head of the government is the premier, while the de facto top leader of government is the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. The current president is Xi Jinping, who took office in March 2013. The incumbent premier is Li Qiang, who took office on 11th March 2023, succeeding Li Keqiang. Dear students, now let us talk about party system in Russia. Russia's political system is the outcome of a decade of post-communist reform, 7 decades of communist rule, and 1,000 years of statehood. The present-day framework of democratic institutions is still struggling to establish itself, while the inheritance of authoritarianism in political culture and political structure remains deeply rooted. One important point that makes the Russian Federation fundamentally different from the Soviet Union is the prevalence of multi-party system and the rise of a number of interest groups, some of which are also known as social and protest movements. Gone are the days when the Communist Party was the state and only such groups could play their part in the political process of the country, which had the patronage of the ruling party. Some of the parties are so small that they look like pressure groups and may be taken not as transmission belts but as alternative political blocks. One of the most important of these new groups was the Democratic Russia movement, which formed the base of support for Yeltsin's leadership. It represented a broad coalition of forces opposed to the dominance of the Communist Party, which wanted Russia to gain enough autonomy to move more quickly to the direction of market reform and democratization. Concepts that were still only vaguely defined at that time. Russia has a multi-party system, about half a dozen parties that take part in the presidential and parliamentary elections and manage to secure sizable number of voters. Still, the party system is in a formative stage. These parties are known by the name of their supreme leaders, which shows that they are formed not on the basis of some clear-cut program, but on the personality of a leader. They do not have a firm social base or their stable constituencies. The process of fragmentation and polarization is also at work, as a result of which the parties and electoral coalitions are fluid. Parties and blocs frequently splinter, join with others, and rename themselves, making it difficult for the public to hold parties and politicians accountable for their actions or inaction, and to know whom to vote for or against. Alternative policy approaches are not clearly articulated by a viable opposition party or coalition. As a result of all this fragmentation and flux, many voters have become apathetic or confused. The weakness of political parties has also hindered the government's ability to develop a firm base of political support for its policies. The multi-party system of the Russian Federation is disorganized and indisciplined. There are more than 24 parties and blocs, big and small, as Agrarian Party, All Russia Union for Reunion, Democratic Party of Russia, Majority Party, Our Home is Russia, Party of Economic Freedom, Russian All People's Union, Russia's Democratic Choice, Free Labor Party, Peasantist Party of Russia, Republican Party of Russia, Social Democratic Party of Russian Federation, Communist Party of Russia, Liberal Democratic Party, Congress of Russian Communities, Forward Russia, Party of Russian Unity and Accord, Democratic Russian Movement, Free Democratic Party of Russia, etc. Some parties are like blocs as Women of Russia and Yabloko. Derezhava is an alliance of some parties as Russian Christian Democratic Movement, State Renaissance Party, Soyuz and Social Democratic People's Party. None, but the Communist Party of Russia has an ideology of its own. It stands on the principles of Marxism, Leninism. The policies and programs of other parties are vague, and when some party fights for interest of a particular section of the people, it looks like an interest group. For instance, the Agrarian Party and Peasantist Party of Russia fight for the interests of the farmers and demand agricultural reforms along with dissolution of collective farming system. Other parties as Party of Economic Freedom and Republican Party of Russia demand mixed economy and liberalization in the economic sphere. The Social Democratic Party of the Russian Federation has a socialist program as it demands a democratic system ensuring social participation of the employers and the workers and protection of human rights. It may be taken as a mildly leftist organization. The Russian Christian Democratic Movement and Majority Party have a rightist orientation. Several research studies have highlighted some distinctive features of the Russian party system in comparison with other post-communist party systems. First, the party system in Russia became fragmented as all segments of the electoral market were oversupplied. Second, the high level of electoral volatility demonstrated a greater level of elasticity in voter demand, despite trends towards the formation of clear party identification. Third, non-partisan politicians who possess resources other than party support also played a major role in national and especially subnational electoral markets. Due to these reasons, the Russian party system was regarded as unconsolidated. After the 2003 and 4 parliamentary and presidential elections, party fragmentation decreased and consequently hyperfragmentation and high competition in Russia's electoral market were replaced by trends towards a monopoly of the ruling elite. The spectrum of Russia's political parties reflects deep divisions over its political identity. Thus, three major ideological camps can be discerned. Number one, parties seeking to further the cause of democratic reform and market economy principles and who thus favor greater openness to Western trade and influence. Number two, parties seeking to return to some form of communist, state-dominated model of social organization. Number third, parties seeking a nationalist, sometimes imperialist agenda. Yet, another set of parties are seeking to combine elements of all these positions to stake out the elusive ground. Russia is a federal presidential republic. The executive power is split between the president and the prime minister, but the president is the dominant figure. The legislature is represented by the Federal Assembly of Russia. It has two chambers, the State Duma, which is the lower house, and the Federation Council, which is the upper house. The judicial power is vested in courts and administered by the Ministry of Justice. The Russian Federation has a de jure multi-party system. However, it operates as a near de facto one-party system. As of 2020, 6 parties have members in the federal parliament. The State Duma with one dominant party, that is United Russia. As of January 19, 2023, 30 political parties are officially registered in the Russian Federation, 20 of which have the right to participate in elections. Political power in Russia's authoritarian political system is concentrated in the hands of President Vladimir Putin, with loyalist security forces, a subservient judiciary, a controlled media environment, and a legislature consisting of a ruling party and pliable opposition factions. Kremlin manipulates elections and suppresses genuine dissent. With this, we have ended today's lecture. Hope you have enjoyed it very well.